You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network live today in the swamp in Washington, D.C. We'll be here through the week. And joining us now, the sheriff of Virginia Beach, Republican. It's a constitutional office. That is Sheriff Ken Stolle, and he has been there. He's running for re-election. He also served in the Virginia Beach Police Department from 76 to 1987. He also served as an intelligence officer in the United States Naval Reserve. And over the past decade, Sheriff Stolle has been a leading advocate for public safety at the state and local levels. He was also a member of Virginia State Senate in the Virginia Beach District, and he was elected to sheriff in 2009. Sheriff Stolle, good to have you with us.
John, it's good to be with you again. How are you doing today?
Never better. A lot better than those people in Las Vegas that went to the concert the other night. You know, you were a naval intelligence officer, Sheriff. You were also part of the Virginia Beach Police Department. You were a sergeant there. You're sheriff now. I mean, how do you fathom this type of an event, this type of a massacre? Like, how does this even happen?
Well, I think what you realize is that there's no way to prepare for something like this, and oftentimes there's no way to prevent something like this from happening. And so I think the law enforcement community is just as shocked as the rest of the nation is. And I think now's the time for healing and prayer and investigation and sympathy and not, conjecture about what we need to do for quick political fixes and stuff like that. I was happy to hear the president's speech yesterday that he did not jump on the political issue, and I hope that nobody else jumps on political issues. We don't even know actually how it happened or we know who did it. We don't know what the motivation was behind it yet. There's a lot of investigation that needs to go on, and I just think we need to take our time and find out what happened here before we jump to conclusions.
I think you're right. I mean, just a horrible situation there, and the number of Democrats politicizing this, turns some of our stomach, because you see those people, lying in the street, dying. So many of the Las Vegas people that were there, their brethren that were there, taking their pants off, their shirts off, a bunch of men in just their underwear because they had used it as tourniquets. Just not the time, to turn this into a political football. But, that's what the Democrats do. I mean, I'm sorry. I hate to just point that out, but I know it wouldn't be 2 hours. I don't think they got through 2 hours before it started. Let's get to Terry McAuliffe. You're a member of the Virginia Sheriff's Association.
Yes, sir.
And the sheriffs, take this very seriously. They have a lot of needs in this state. Their deputies are underpaid. I mean, there's a lot of issues. You have an annual meeting with the governor, right? An annual meeting.
Yes.
Which you lay out your agenda and you have a conversation about the needs of the sheriffs in the upcoming General Assembly. The governor, McAuliffe, canceling the meeting last week, just canceling it, and no reason other than he's unhappy because he thought that too many sheriffs had backed Ed Gillespie over his candidate, Ralph Northam. So he even takes the sheriffs and politicizes it. What did you make of that?
Well, I was very disappointed in that. I knew Terry McAuliffe before he was governor. I've known him for about 8 or 10 years now, and when he was running for governor, he asked to come into my jail and tour the jail so he could see what we were doing with mentally ill and things of that nature. I brought him in here, introduced him to all the deputies, and he promised us that he'd be there for the sheriffs throughout his term as governor. And so, and John, I have to be honest with you, I think he has been up to this point. And so I think he's done a good job protecting us and giving us the pay increases that we need and doing the things we've asked him to do. Now, the problem is that this last thing is uncharacteristic of the rest of the time that he's been in the governor's mansion, and I think it's just a huge problem where he decided for political purposes that he is not going to meet with the sheriffs to prepare their budget for this next upcoming year, and the only reason that was cited was because he thought that too many sheriffs endorsed the Republican candidate instead of the Democratic candidate. Well, I think that's just an outrageous act, and I don't know how to react to it as a sheriff. And I talked to John Jones about this, as the director of the Sheriff's Association, and he had no idea it was coming, and actually called up the day the meeting was and said, "Are you guys still going to do this?" And they said, "Yes, we are. We're not meeting with them." So I think that it's It's contrary to what he's promised us. It's contrary to what he's been doing up to this point, and I'm very disappointed in him.
You know, Sheriff, that's what I thought. I mean, I've been a supporter of the governor. I think he's done a good job in a lot of areas bringing jobs to the state, and I think he's been there for law enforcement. I don't agree with him on every issue, you know, guns being one, obviously Medicaid expansion at the beginning being one other one. But I thought he vetoed legislation that would have really hurt Virginia economically. And I think a lot of that stuff passed the General Assembly because they were counting on the governor to veto it. That's just my view. So I was kind of shocked by this, and I don't think it bodes well for his lieutenant governor candidate. I think he's going to lose because if they were way ahead, I don't think he would have done what he had done. We'll see how it plays out. But you've got one opportunity to meet with the Sheriff's Association. I think you sit down and meet with them. I think it matters who they're backing for governor. I mean, you're the chief executive of the state. You have to show leadership, right? I mean,
that's right.
He's going to meet with, I'm sure he was, in the past, he had met with people who didn't back him, right? But he still had to meet with them.
That's true.
I mean, you have to cover.
I didn't back him in the last election, but he's been very supportive of us. And something else I need to know, John, is the Sheriff's Association doesn't endorse candidates, and so
right.
we did not come out and endorse. These are individual sheriffs that have the absolute right to back whoever they want to back, and they're being punished for doing it. So I think it's just uncalled for and outrageous. But I think it's uncharacteristic of his administration towards sheriffs. I don't know what motivated it, but what brought this forward at this time, other than the sheriff switching over. But I actually think it hurts Ralph a lot. I think it hurts him, and I think that the other sheriff, he's making every sheriff mad in Virginia. He's making the sheriffs mad that's endorsed Gillespie. He's making the sheriffs mad that didn't endorse Gillespie because he's not dealing with them either. And so it's a stupid political move. I just don't understand.
I think they're very frustrated. I think they thought Sheriff Stolle at this point in the campaign, I think they thought they would be pretty comfortably ahead. It's tied. They're not. Everything is going for them. Really got them frustrated. And there is a law enforcement issue here. I think Ed Gillespie's ads with the MS-13 gangs and sanctuary cities are taking hold. And I think they're just mad. And so this is the kind of thing that is very uncharacteristic of the governor. I think it was a big mistake. And I agree with you 100%. I think it's hurting his candidate. Speaking of candidates, Sheriff Stolle, you're running for a third term in Virginia Beach as sheriff. Give our audience some insight why you're running for re-election and what your key objectives are going forward into a third term.
Well, let me start off by saying that I've got the best, in my opinion, I got the best workforce in Virginia. These guys are great. The deputies do a wonderful job there, and I try and give as many tours as I possibly can so that everybody can see what job the deputies in Virginia Beach do. And I'd say this, it's probably indicative of the deputies across Virginia that they're a great outstanding group of people, and I'm very proud to be associated. Now, when I ran as sheriff, I ran as sheriff on a very tough crime and anti-crime and tough jail policies, and we've done that. I think we reduced assaults on deputies. We have reduced inmate assaults. We reduced use of forces, but we started some programs that I'd like to see finish. I think we started mental illness. I've got 400 mentally ill people in my jail today. That is the biggest problem facing corrections, is the mental illness problem. Another issue is we started a reentry program here, and the reentry program is doing very well. We have the average recidivism rate of somebody who leaves jail is about 70-75%. The average recidivism rate after our reentry program is only 13%. So it's a very successful program. I'm very proud of it. But I want to continue to bring this sheriff's office into the highlight of technology, because I think technology provides information. And information provides for safety for the deputies. The more information they have, the safer they are. So I want to continue that, and also want to work with the mentally ill. And I mentioned that earlier, but I think that's the biggest problem facing corrections, and I think that I have the ability to address that issue as well as anybody with my time in the Senate and my time on the Health and Human Resources Committee for the Senate Finance Committee. So I think I'm uniquely qualified to lead the jail through the next problems it's going to experience, and I hope I have the support of the voters in the next on November 7th.
All right, Sheriff Ken Stolle, I want to thank you for that. Thank you for your service, and we've certainly got you as a favorite in this race going into November. Sheriff Stolle, running against Mr. Bell, who is the Democratic candidate for sheriff. That'll be decided on November 7th. This is a constitutional office, so it is partisan. Ken Stolle is a Republican in the race. Mr. Bell is the Democrat in the race. Now, if you want more information, it's real easy. You can go to kenstolle.com. That's his website, kenstolle.com, KENSTOLLE, kenstolle.com. Hey, Sheriff, thanks for being with us today. I know it's a very tough day for you in law enforcement today, seeing what's going on in Las Vegas. I really appreciate the time, sir. Thank you so much.
John, thank you, John, for having me on. Thank you.